I thought it was going to be an easy night. Just 2 more rides to go before I clocked out. Saturday night, pretty quiet in Swansea. I do Uber part-time to help pay for uni, so I try to keep things simple and avoid drama when I can. Then I got a pick up from Singleton Hospital. Nothing unusual there. I've picked up plenty of people from hospitals, staff, patients going home, sometimes just people who use the hospital as a landmark for pickups. I pull up outside the A&E entrance, lights on, hazard lights flashing, the usual drill. A guy walks out. He's tall, mid-30s maybe, wearing joggers and a hoodie, no bag, with no visual injuries. He looks totally fine, a bit pale, but then again, who isn't at 1:30 in the morning? He gets in without saying a word, just nods and mumbles something like cheers. The destination is already in the app, a small village just outside of town. Not far, maybe 20 minutes max. I say something friendly like long night, but he doesn't reply. He just stares out of the window. All right, some people don't want to chat, that's fine. I focus on the road. Turn the radio down a bit, just low background noise. About 5 minutes in, I start getting that weird feeling. You know when someone's too quiet, not tired, quiet, but tense quiet. He's sitting bolt upright, hands clenched, eyes fixed ahead, no phone out, not fidgeting, but not relaxed at all. Then I glance in the rearview mirror and he's staring right at me, dead in the eyes. I try to play it cool. You okay there, mate? Silence. Then he says, deadpan, do you believe in second chances? Not what I expected. I sort of chuckle, half nervous. I mean, sure, everyone deserves one, right? He nods, really slowly. That's what I told them, but they didn't listen. At this point, my brain is doing all the calculations. Is he drunk on something? Just weird? Dangerous? I try not to panic. I've had odd passengers before. Maybe he's just had a rough night. I keep driving, but I keep one eye on the mirror. Then he pulls something out of his hoodie pocket. I can't see what it is. It's small, black, could be a phone or not. I decide to speak up. Hey mate, you alright? You're kind of freaking me out here. He doesn't respond, just starts muttering, quiet, rapid stuff I can't make out. Could be another language, could be nonsense. I reach a roundabout and take the wrong exit on purpose. I figure if something's not right, I want to be somewhere public, not halfway up a dark country lane. He notices. This isn't the way. I go full bluff. Detour, roadworks up ahead. He leans forward. His voice drops to a whisper. You shouldn't lie to me. At this point, I've had enough. I pull into a petrol station right under the lights. Just grabbing petrol, I say, throwing the car in park. I jump out, walk straight into the shop and ask the clerk to call the police. I explain I'm an Uber driver and the guy in my car is acting seriously unstable. Cops show up in minutes. When they go to talk to the guy, he's just sitting there, totally calm, hands on his lap, smiling. They get him out of the car. No resistance. Then one of the officers says to me, "You sure you picked him up from Singleton?" "Yeah," I replied, "right outside A&E. The cop frowns. "We've had reports of a patient wandering off from the psychiatric wing. Matches his description exactly, but he wasn't discharged. Security's been looking for him for hours." Turns out he just walked out. No ID, no phone. He'd requested the Uber from the hospital lobby using someone else's account and somehow got me. Needless to say, I ended my shift early that night and I didn't sleep much either. She was already in the car. I used to do Uber night shifts full time in Cardiff. It suited me. Quiet roads, better surge fares, fewer idiots usually. But this one night around 2:45 a.m. changed how I felt about night driving. I still can't explain it properly. I got a ping to pick someone up on the edge of Butte Park. A bit odd. Most people don't request rides from the middle of a park in the dead of night. But the map pin was near a roadside entrance, so I figured it was someone drunk who wandered out after a night in town. As I pull up, I don't see anyone. I leave the hazards on, check the name Eliza. I call the number, no answer. Typical. I wait a couple of minutes, then I get a message through the app. I'm already in the car. I actually laughed, thought it was a prank. I even looked in the back seat. Completely empty. I reply, "Nice one, no one's here." Almost instantly, I get another message, "Don't turn around." Now, at this point, I think someone's messing with me. Maybe mates watching me from the bushes. But I'm a bit creeped out, not gonna lie. I start the engine, about to drive off, when my rearview mirror tilts. Not just a little wobble, fully moves, like someone reached up and pulled it towards them. But there's still no one in the back seat. I get out of the car, heart hammering, walk around it, and shine my phone torch in. Still nothing. Now I'm properly spooked, and I decide I've had enough. I cancel the ride, drive straight home, and park right under the street lamp outside my flat. I go inside, lock up, make a cup of tea to settle my nerves, and try to convince myself it was just my imagination or some weird bug in the app. Then, around 4 a.m, I get a notification. "Thanks for the ride, Eliza, 5 stars. I never drove anywhere. I check my trip history. It says I completed the ride, distance 0, time 12 seconds, no charge. At this point, I'm thinking I'm being hacked or something. I contact Uber support. They can't find the trip in their system, say it never registered on their end. They suggest restarting my phone. I delete the app for the night. Try to sleep. Around 5:30 a.m, I hear a knock at the front door. 3 soft knocks. I delete the app for the night. I try to sleep. Around 5:30 a.m. I hear a knock at my front door. 3 soft knocks. I live alone. My flat has a secure main entrance and no buzzer. To get to my door, you'd have to already be inside the building. I don't move. I just sit there, frozen on the sofa, waiting for something else, but nothing happens. After about 10 minutes, I creep to the door and check the peephole. No one there, but there's something on the floor. I open the door just enough to see it, a single black hairpin, the cheap twisted kind you find in packs of 50, and next to it a small wet footprint, like a bare foot, child-sized. I noped out of the flat for the night and stayed with a mate. The next day I go back to the car. It's fine, it looks untouched, until I get in. There, on the passenger seat, is the same hairpin, just sitting there. I've never picked up a rider named Elisa since. I also don't drive nights anymore. And I still keep that mirror tilted all the way up, just in case. This happened a few months ago, and I still think about it every time I drive past a petrol station at night. It was a Tuesday around 11:15 p.m. and I'd just finished dropping someone off in a quiet industrial estate on the edge of town. I got a new ping almost immediately. Pickup location was a corner of a retail park about 10 minutes away. Completely dead at this time of night, just the 24-hour gym and a row of shuttered shops. When I arrived, there was one guy standing under the single street lamp, no bag, hands in his coat pockets. He looked to be in his mid-40s. He had a beard and a blank expression. He didn't seem drunk or high, just switched off, flat. He gets in the back without saying anything. Destination just says petrol station A4069. It's about 20 minutes out, middle of nowhere. Strange place to go that late, but I've seen worse. We drive in silence for a while. I try the usual. So, busy day then? Nothing. Just a small exhale, like he was annoyed I'd even spoken. Whatever, I stopped trying, but I noticed something in the mirror. He's not looking out of the window. He's just staring straight ahead, not at the road, not at me, just into space. We get maybe halfway there, and he suddenly says, "You ever think about disappearing?" That snapped me to attention. I said, "What do you mean?" hoping for some joking tone, but his voice stayed level, almost bored. "Just walking away, leaving everything, no one knowing where you went." I laugh awkwardly. I mean, we all fantasize about it, right? Island somewhere, no emails. He doesn't react, just leans forward a bit. "I don't mean that kind of disappearing." I nod slowly, keeping my eyes on the road. "Okay." Then he says, "You think they'd even come looking?" I'm uncomfortable now. I try to redirect. "If you're having a rough time, man, there's always someone to talk to. You'd be surprised." He shrugs. "You think that until you find out who's still there when you're gone." Silence again. We pull into the petrol station. It's completely empty. No customers. One worker behind the counter playing on his phone. The guy doesn't move. "We're here," I say. He doesn't react. I turn around. "Are you okay?" He looks up at me, finally, calm. I just needed a place no one would ask questions. Before I can reply, he opens the door and gets out and walks inside. I sit there for a second, heart racing, wondering what the hell that meant. Then I decided to wait, just in case. About 3 minutes later, he comes back out. No bag, no food, nothing in his hands. But his coat is unzipped now, and I can see the outline of something tucked into his waistband, heavy and metal. I'm not proud of it, but I panicked. I reversed out of that petrol station and drove straight home, cancelling the ride mid-trip. I didn't sleep much that night. The next day, I checked the news obsessively. Nothing. A week later, buried in a local news site, I saw a brief article. Man found dead behind rural petrol station. No suspicious circumstances. No name released, no photo. Just that he wasn't from the area and people were trying to identify his next of kin. I don't know if it was him. I don't want to know. But I can't stop thinking about what he said. You think they'd even come looking? I still drive sometimes, but never late and never to anywhere remote. I drive Uber full-time in Liverpool. Nights are decent for fares, but you see some weird stuff. You learn to spot red flags. I thought I was good at that, until this happened. It was a Thursday night, just after midnight. I get a pick up from a residential cul-de-sac in Toxteth. Nothing strange, just a typical ride. When I arrive, there's no one standing outside. I double check the house number, it matches. Before I even consider calling, a man steps up from the alley between two houses. Something about him immediately feels off. He's wearing dark clothes, a hoodie and gloves. It's not freezing, so the gloves feel weird. He gets in the back, shuts the door quietly. He doesn't say a word. "Hi, are you Jack?" I ask, checking the name on the app. He nods once, no eye contact, just mutters, "Yeah." The destination is already entered, an address on the other side of the city. I start driving. A couple of minutes in, I glance in the rear view. He's not scrolling his phone or zoning out like most riders. He's tense, knees bouncing, one hand in his pocket, gripping something, not a phone. I try to keep it casual. "Been out tonight or heading somewhere?" No answer, just his quiet, intense breathing. Not like a panic attack, more like someone trying to stay calm. Now I'm on edge. My gut says something's wrong. 5 minutes later, he suddenly says, "Take the next left." It's not on the route. "The app's sending us a different way," I reply. He leans forward, low voice. "I said take the next left." At this point, I know this isn't a normal ride. I make the turn. We're now heading into an industrial area, closed units, no traffic, no cameras. He says nothing for the next minute. Then, out of nowhere, you ever get asked to forget what you saw? My stomach drops. I say, "I just drive, mate. Don't see anything, don't ask questions. He leans back. He doesn't speak again. We get to a warehouse loading bay. There were no lights on. He tells me to stop. I do. The engine is still running. He opens the door halfway, then turns back to me. You didn't pick me up, you didn't drop me off, you were never here, got it? I nod. Yes, got it. He stares at me for a beat too long, then steps out. He doesn't close the door right away, just stands there, half in, half out of the car. Then he pulls something out of his coat, not a gun, a wad of cash. He tosses it onto the passenger seat. Compensation, he says, for your silence. And then he's gone, walks around a corner and disappears. I sat there for about 10 seconds, then floored it. Got out of the area fast, my heart pounding the whole way. The cash was real, £200, all in 20s. I counted it at home, hands shaking. The next day, I checked the news around 3 a.m. Roughly 90 minutes after I dropped him off, a body was found behind that same warehouse, shot twice, execution style. There were no suspects and no witnesses. I wanted to report it, I really did, but I couldn't even prove I'd been there. I'd already deleted the ride from the app history. The drop-off never registered. It had been edited manually. I don't drive nights anymore. I kept the cash. Maybe that makes me a bad person. But I don't think he was giving me a choice. I drive Uber part-time out of Baltimore, mostly in the evenings and on weekends. I'm a woman in my early 30s and I've learned to be cautious, especially with solo male riders at night. Usually I trust my gut. This one time I didn't, and I still think about it. It was a Sunday night around 11:10 p.m. and I'd just finished a drop-off near John Hopkins Bayview. I was about to call it a night when I got a ping for a pickup in Dundalk near a strip of warehouses and storage units. It wasn't an area I loved driving in, but it was close enough and the rider had a solid 4.9 rating. When I pulled up, there was no one waiting. The pin was in a weird spot, next to an auto shop that looked long closed for the night. I double-checked the name, Brian. About 30 seconds later, a man came around the corner of the building. Mid-40s, ball cap, dark hoodie, no bag. He looked like a mechanic or something, his hands strained and his boots scuffed up. He got in the back, didn't say anything until I asked, "Are you Brian?" He nodded, looked out the window. "Yeah, appreciate it." The destination was already loaded in, some random road about 25 minutes outside the city near Middle River. I didn't know the area well, but the map showed mostly woods and a few scattered houses. "Heading home?" I asked, trying to keep things light. "Something like that," he muttered. Not even 5 minutes into the trip, he said something that made my skin crawl. "You ever get people asking to go off the app?" I glanced at him in the mirror. "Not really. If they do, I usually say no. Uber tracks the whole ride." He was quiet for a second, then said, "Right, can't be too careful." We drove in silence for a while. He kept shifting in his seat, like he couldn't get comfortable. At one point, I saw him reach into his jacket and pull out a pair of black gloves. Just held them, not putting them on, just holding. Then he said, "Hey, take the next right, shortcut." The app said to stay straight. "I think it keeps us on the main road," I replied, trying to sound casual. He leaned forward, just slightly. I said, "Take the right." I took it. Now we're off the main road, onto this narrow stretch with no lights, no houses, just trees. My gut was screaming. I checked my phone in my lap. No signal. Perfect. About 2 miles in, he says, "Pull up here." "But there's nothing here." "Exactly," he responded. I stopped. My hands were sweating on the wheel. He opened the door, stepped halfway out and paused. He turned back and looked at me. "You didn't see me tonight, got it?" I just nodded. My mouth was dry. He reached into his jacket again. This time I thought, this is it. But instead, he tossed something onto the passenger seat. A roll of cash, thick, rubber banded. He said, "You keep driving, you forget this ride. Don't go talking to the cops. There's nothing they can do anyway." Then he stepped out, closed the door softly, and disappeared into the woods. I didn't wait. I drove until I found a gas station with cameras and lights and parked under them for 15 minutes. The next day, I scanned the local news. Buried in a crime blotter was this headline: "Man found dead in abandoned car near Middle River, police investigating." No suspect, no witnesses, no camera footage. I never reported what had happened. I told myself I didn't know anything for sure, but I did. I don't drive nights anymore, and I never pick up anyone waiting outside a dark building alone. I've been driving Uber in Philadelphia for a couple of years. Mostly nights and weekends. I've had my share of sketchy passengers, but I've always trusted my gut and gotten through okay. This one shook me. It was a Thursday around midnight, and I was about to finish my last ride of the night when I got one more request. Pick up near Allegheny Station, under the EI. Not a great area, but I've picked up there before. The name on the app was Chris, 4.9 rating. I accepted. I pull up to a gas station where the pin was dropped. There's no one outside, I text. "Hey, I'm in here in the silver Camry." About 30 seconds later, a man walks around from the back of the station. Hoodie, backpack, jeans, mid-30s maybe. He doesn't say anything, just tries to open the front passenger door. That's always a red flag. I keep my front locked on purpose. I roll down the window a few inches. "You Chris?" He nods, doesn't smile. "Yeah, can I sit up front? I get car sick in the back." "No problem," I lie. "But Uber policy says back seat only unless the front's requested when you book. Safety thing." He hesitates, then mutters, "Whatever," and gets into the back. We start driving. Destination's about 15 minutes west. Small residential street. Nothing unusual. He doesn't say a word the whole time, just stares at the back of my head. I can feel it. I try not to look in the mirror too much, but every time I glance, he's locked in on me, not blinking. About 5 minutes in, he starts messing with the seatbelt, pulling it out, letting it snap over and over. Then he unbuckles it. "You okay back there?" I ask, keeping my voice light. He doesn't answer. Then I hear the sound of a zipper, like a backpack. I flick a glance in the mirror and see him reaching inside it quickly. My stomach knots. I don't wait. I fake cough, slow the car and say, "Sorry, I think something's wrong with my engine. I'm gonna pull over and check." I stop under a street light. He says flat, "No need, just keep driving." But I'm already out of the car. I step away from the vehicle and pretend to pop the hood. Then I do the one thing I'd hope I'd never have to do. I hit the emergency button on my Uber app and dial 911. While I'm talking to dispatch, he opens the back door and gets out, starts walking toward me slowly. I say loudly, "You're on speaker with the police." He freezes, then turns around and just walks away. When the cops arrive, he's long gone. I give them his name, description, and everything I saw. They check the app logs. The account was fake. Prepaid phone, dummy email, no ID, no paper trail. Uber removes the profile immediately, but there's not much else they can do. I spent the next week jumping at every sound. I had pepper spray installed in the door pocket. I even installed a dash cam. I still drive, but only during the day, and I never ever unlock the front doors.